I paid for my son's big birthday barbecue, no one came. A week later my mom demanded $2,000 for a family banquet. I sent her 10 cents and congratulations. Then the police showed up. I never thought I'd be the kind of person to write something like this, but here I am, sitting in my living room, still shaking my head at the absurdity of my family. Maybe writing it all out will help me finally stop second-guessing myself. My wife and I have one son, Ethan, who just turned 8 last month. We don't have a huge family, but we have enough relatives that birthdays usually mean at least a small crowd: my parents, my younger sister and her husband, 2 cousins who live within a 30-minute drive, and my dad's brother's family. Not a massive clan, but enough people to fill a backyard when everyone shows up. This year I wanted Ethan to have something special. He's a sweet kid, kind, funny, a little shy, and he'd been talking for months about having a real barbecue party with all the cousins. He even helped me design little invitation cards with dinosaurs and balloons. Because my parents always made a huge deal about family first, I went all in. I rented a nice pavilion at a local park, hired a grill caterer, burgers, ribs, the works, and paid extra for a bounce house. Total cost, just over $1,600, which is not pocket change for us. I sent the invitations out 6 weeks in advance. Everyone RSVP'd with some version of "we'll be there." The day came. The weather was perfect, warm but not too hot, clear blue sky. We showed up early with balloons, banners, and enough food to feed 25 people. No one came. Not a single relative. Not my parents, not my sister, not the cousins who live 10 minutes away. My wife's parents, who live 2 hours out of town, were visiting their own friends and couldn't make it, but they at least called and sent Ethan a gift in the mail. At first, I thought maybe there had been a car accident or some massive miscommunication. I checked my phone every 5 minutes. Nothing. Ethan kept looking around the park and asking, "Where's Grandma? Where's Aunt Lily?" I kept lying through my teeth, "They're probably just running late, buddy. Let's play in the bounce house while we wait." By the time the caterer started packing up leftovers, it was obvious, nobody was coming. My wife tried to hide how furious she was, but I saw her eyes welling up when Ethan asked if he'd done something wrong. We salvaged the day by inviting a few of his school friends whose parents were able to come last minute, but the hurt was there. That night, I texted my mom in the family group chat. "Hey, we missed you guys today. Is everyone okay?" Silence. Hours passed. Finally, my sister replied with a single thumbs up emoji. No explanation. No apology. A week later, I got a text from my mom. I actually laughed out loud when I read it because it was so brazen. "Mom, reminder, family anniversary banquet next Saturday, $2,000 per family for your share. Payment needed by Friday. Venmo works. No, sorry we missed Ethan's birthday. No, how was the party? Nothing. Just a demand for money. $2,000 per family." I stared at the screen for a good minute before I decided to be petty. I opened Venmo, typed 10 cents, and in the note field wrote, "Congratulations." Then I hit send. Within 5 minutes, the group chat blew up. My mom sent a string of angry messages about family obligations, respect, and how I was embarrassing her in front of the relatives. My sister chimed in with a sarcastic, "Real classy." I didn't respond. Instead, I calmly blocked every single number in that group: my mom, dad, sister, cousins, everyone. My wife and I spent the rest of the night eating leftover ribs and watching Ethan open the gifts from his school friends. I felt a weird sense of relief, like a weight had been lifted. 48 hours later, there was a knock at the door. I looked through the peephole and saw 2 police officers. My stomach dropped. I opened the door, and one of them said, "Sir, we received a call regarding a family disturbance complaint." Apparently, My mother had called the non-emergency line claiming there was a financial dispute, and that I had threatened the family's safety by withholding funds owed for a contracted event. Let me repeat, because I sent 10 cents instead of $2,000, my mother tried to sic the police on me. The officers were polite but clearly annoyed. I explained the situation, showed them the text messages, including the birthday invitations, the ignored messages, and the demand for money. They looked at each other, rolled their eyes, and said, "This is a civil matter. We're sorry you had to deal with this." One officer even muttered, "Wow, some people really think the police are a Venmo collection agency." After they left, my wife and I just sat on the couch in stunned silence. Then we started laughing, like, full belly laughs. It was either that or cry. It's been 3 weeks. Nobody from my family has tried to contact me directly, probably because they're all blocked. Ethan is doing great, he's more excited about the friends who did show up than the ones who didn't. I'd be lying if I said it doesn't hurt. These are people I grew up with, people who preached, blood is thicker than water, every single holiday. But if blood really mattered, they would have shown up for an 8-year-old boy who just wanted to play in a bounce house with his cousins. Instead, they revealed exactly who they are, entitled, transactional, and willing to weaponize the police to shake down their own son for $2,000. So yeah. I sent 10 cents. Best dime I've ever spent. The fallout. It's been about a month since the police knocked on my door, and if I thought the family drama was over, I was very wrong. Blocking everyone didn't stop the circus, it just forced them to get more creative. A few days after the police visit, I started getting handwritten letters in the mail. The first one was from my mom. It started with, "Dear son, I am heartbroken that you have chosen to alienate your family over a simple misunderstanding." Then, in the next paragraph, she demanded a reconciliation payment of $1,000 to show good faith. Yes, you read that right. She literally called it a reconciliation payment. The next letter came from my sister, Lily. Hers was shorter but somehow worse. "You're teaching Ethan to disrespect elders. Don't be surprised when he treats you the same way someday." I tossed both letters straight into the recycling bin. My wife suggested we get a P.O. box and forward all our mail there so we wouldn't have to see the envelopes. A week later, my dad decided to take his turn. Instead of writing a letter, he showed up at my job. I work in IT for a small firm downtown. He apparently followed me inside and asked the receptionist to speak to his son about a family debt. Thankfully, my boss is a decent guy. He escorted my dad out before things could get ugly and told me to take the afternoon off. That night, my dad left a voicemail that started off calm, "Son, we need to talk like men," and ended with, "If you think you can cut us off and keep Ethan from his grandparents, you're mistaken. We have rights." The rights comment was enough for me to call a lawyer the next morning. The lawyer explained that grandparents' rights are extremely limited in our state and that my parents would need to prove some kind of neglect or harm to even file. He also suggested I keep every letter and voicemail in case things escalated. And escalate they did. 2 Saturdays ago, Ethan had a soccer game at a public park. My wife and I were cheering from the sidelines when I noticed my mom standing under a tree near the bleachers, wearing sunglasses like she was some kind of undercover agent. She didn't say a word. Just stood there and watched. When Ethan scored a goal, he turned to wave at us. My mom actually waved back. It was such a creepy, manipulative move, like she was trying to remind us she could show up whenever she wanted. After the game, I calmly walked over and told her she needed to leave or I'd call the police for trespassing. She smirked and said, "We're family. You can't keep me away from my grandson." I didn't argue. I just took out my phone and started dialing. She left before the call connected. Later that night, I got an email from a new address I didn't recognize. The subject line read, "Last chance before court." It was from my mom again, claiming she would seek legal remedies if I didn't pay $2,000 and restore family visitation privileges. My lawyer drafted a formal cease and desist letter the next day. We sent it certified mail, return receipt requested. Since then, things have gone quiet. No more letters. No more surprise visits. No strange cars parked across the street. It feels like they finally realized I'm serious about protecting my family, especially Ethan. And honestly, the quiet is beautiful. Ethan is thriving. He's more relaxed, he sleeps better, and he doesn't ask about grandma and grandpa anymore. Instead, he talks about the friends who did come to his birthday, the ones who made him laugh and played tag until dark. I don't know if my parents will ever understand why I cut them off. But for the first time in years, our little household feels safe. No guilt. No manipulation. Just peace. If it cost me 10 cents to get here, it was the best investment I've ever made. The attempted family intervention. It's been almost 3 months since I sent that 10-cent Venmo and blocked my family, and just when I thought the storm had finally passed, they tried one last stunt, something so ridiculous it almost felt scripted. 2 Sundays ago, my wife and I were finishing breakfast when the doorbell rang. Through the glass panel I saw 5 people standing on our porch, my mom, my dad, my sister Lily, her husband, and, of all people, our old family pastor. They were holding a casserole dish and a thick envelope like they were about to stage some Hallmark reunion. My first instinct was to pretend we weren't home, but my wife shook her head. "Better to end this face to face," she whispered. I cracked the door but kept the chain locked. Mom launched right into it. "Son, we're here for a family intervention. We love you, but you can't let anger destroy generations of bonds." I nearly laughed. This from the people who skipped my kid's birthday and called the cops over 10 cents. Dad crossed his arms. "You embarrassed your mother. We just want things back to normal. All it takes is an apology and a small restitution to show goodwill." I raised an eyebrow. "Restitution? Are you seriously trying to invoice me for not paying your $2,000 dinner bill?" The pastor cleared his throat like he was moderating a peace summit. "Forgiveness heals all wounds. A token offering might open hearts." At that point my wife stepped in. She's usually the calm one, but her voice could have cut glass. "Our child is not a bargaining chip. You will not guilt us, invoice us, or ambush us at our home. Leave, now." My sister tried one last jab, "You're brainwashing Ethan against us." My wife replied, "You did that yourselves when you abandoned him on his birthday." I slowly closed the door while they kept talking. The pastor mumbled something about praying for hardened hearts. Click, the chain lock slid shut. Through the window I watched them stand there for a full minute, then shuffle back to their cars, casserole still in hand. That night I opened the envelope they'd left. Inside was a typed, family agreement. It read like a business contract. $1,500, goodwill contribution, to the anniversary banquet fund. A promise to maintain regular contact and holiday attendance. A clause granting my parents visitation rights with Ethan at least twice monthly. At the bottom were signature lines for me and my wife. No apology. Not even a line acknowledging Ethan's missed birthday. My lawyer nearly choked laughing when I emailed him a scan. "Frame it," he said. "It's the most cell-phoning evidence of manipulation I've ever seen." Since the intervention, we've taken a few extra precautions. A doorbell camera, a no trespass notice filed with local police, and a quiet word with Ethan's school about who is not allowed to pick him up. Ethan, bless him, barely notices. He's busy with soccer practice, making Halloween decorations, and planning his next birthday party, which he says should be just friends this time. When I asked why, he shrugged. "Friends show up," he said simply. That's when it really hit me. For all their talk about blood and tradition, my parents taught Ethan the most important lesson of all. That love isn't about DNA or grand banquets. It's about showing up when it matters. If they ever truly want to be part of his life, they'll have to start there. And until that day comes, if it ever does, our door, and our Venmo, stay firmly locked. The legal pushback. It's been almost half a year since Ethan's birthday, and just when life started to feel normal, my family tried a new angle, this time through the courts. Honestly, I shouldn't be surprised anymore, but I still felt that old gut punch of disbelief when I opened the certified letter from the county courthouse. Inside was a petition for grandparent visitation rights, filed by my parents, complete with a declaration that I was alienating the child and damaging family bonds. They even attached screenshots of my 10-cent Venmo transfer as evidence of hostility. For a second, I just sat at the kitchen table laughing like a maniac. Imagine thinking a dime proves emotional abuse. My lawyer wasn't laughing, though. He explained that while grandparents' rights are extremely limited in our state, the court still had to review the petition, which meant I'd need to respond formally. He also pointed out something I'd missed. My parents claimed they had provided significant financial support for Ethan over the years. Total fiction. The most they'd ever given was a $20 bill in a Christmas card. We filed a counter-declaration with text messages, photos from the empty birthday party, and the family agreement contract they left on our porch. My lawyer highlighted every manipulative demand, every ignored invitation, every petty dollar sign. The hearing was set for a Tuesday morning. My wife and I showed up in our best, responsible parent clothes, nervous but ready. My parents arrived with Lily and her husband, dressed like they were attending a wedding. They brought the same family pastor as a character witness. When the judge asked why they missed Ethan's birthday if family was so important, my mom stammered something about conflicting schedules. The judge raised an eyebrow and said, "Yet you expected them to pay $2,000 for a banquet the following week?" Mom's face turned the color of a ripe tomato. My dad tried to argue that 10 cents was a public humiliation. The judge actually chuckled. "I don't adjudicate Venmo etiquette," he said. After reviewing the evidence, the judge dismissed the petition on the spot. "Grandparent visitation is meant to protect existing relationships," he said. "You skipped a child's birthday, demanded money, and involved law enforcement. That does not demonstrate a healthy relationship to preserve." Case closed. Walking out of the courthouse felt like stepping into sunlight after months underground. My wife squeezed my hand so hard I thought she'd break it. We didn't celebrate with champagne or anything fancy, we just went home, ordered pizza, and played Mario Kart with Ethan until bedtime. It was perfect. A week later, I received one final email from my mom. No greeting, no closing. Just 4 words. "You'll regret this someday." I didn't reply. I forwarded it to my lawyer for the file, then set up a permanent email filter to send anything from her straight to a folder labeled noise. Life since the hearing has been peaceful. Ethan is thriving at school, our home feels lighter, and my wife and I no longer jump when the doorbell rings. The doorbell camera is still there, but it's mostly used for spotting Amazon packages. Sometimes I catch myself wondering if my parents will ever change. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. But the beauty of this whole nightmare is that it no longer matters. They taught me, through their own actions, that family isn't defined by who shares your blood. It's defined by who shows up, respects boundaries, and celebrates your kid's birthday instead of weaponizing it. I used to think cutting them off would feel like losing something. Now I realize it was the best gift I could give my son. A home where love isn't measured in dollars, and peace isn't for sale.